Thank you everyone for subscribing to Infinitely Productions. If you have not done so, please click the bell and subscribe, and we hope you enjoy our content. Happy Halloween, and today, please enjoy our special presentation. This is not a full biography, however, we are making a special edition on the assassination attempt of Nicky Scarfo Jr. After graduating high school, Nicky Scarfo Jr. allegedly became involved in organized crime. He became a close friend of Joseph Skinny Joey Merlino, the son of the Scarfo crime family underboss Chucky Merlino. However, the relationship with Joey Merlino was to prove inauspicious. Their friendship, which was very close, ruptured in 1988 when Chucky Merlino was convicted of racketeering, was sentenced to 45 years in a federal penitentiary. Before Chucky Merlino was arrested and convicted, he was then demoted by Nicky Scarfo Sr., and Nicky Scarfo Jr. allegedly ended his friendship with Joey Merlino at this time. The Philadelphia crime family boss turned government informant Ralph Natale later testified in court that Merlino hated Scarfo from this time onward. In the late 1980s, Nicky Scarfo Sr. came under increasing legal pressure as the Federal Bureau of Investigation conducted a massive investigation of the Scarfo crime family's operation. 20 members of the Scarfo organization were in prison, and many more came under indictment. 5 members of the Philadelphia crime family turned state's evidence against the elder Scarfo, including soldiers Nicholas Caramondi and Eugene Milano, Capos, Thomas Del Giorno, and Lawrence Merlino, who was Salvatore Chucky Merlino's brother and Joseph Merlino's uncle, and Nicodemo Little Nicky Scarfo's nephew, Philip Crazy Phil Leonetti. On November 1st, 1988, during the trial of Nicky Scarfo Sr., Mark Scarfo attempted to take his own life. Mark, then only 17 years old, had been taunted for years by classmates about his father's criminal activities. Increasingly despondent over his father's possible imprisonment, Mark Scarfo hanged himself in the office of his father's concrete supply company in Atlantic City. He was discovered by his aunt, Nancy Scarfo, and paramedics were able to resuscitate him. He suffered cardiac arrest and his brain was deprived of oxygen. He entered a coma where he remained until his death in April 2014. On November 4, 1988, just 3 days after Mark's self-deletion attempt, Nicky Scarfo Jr. and a friend assaulted a woman in an elevator at the Hahnemann University Hospital in Philadelphia. The woman said the two men had looked menacingly at her, and she pretended to reach for a gun in her coat. The two men punched her and pushed her to the floor and kicked her several times. Scarfo was arrested for assault, convicted, fined, and put on probation for the incident. We covered the stories of Nicky Scarfo Jr.'s brother, Mark Scarfo, attempted to take his own life on November 1st, 1988. You will see the video in our description if you care to hear the full details. While their father was on trial for numerous charges, including murder, racketeering, and more, Nicky Scarfo Jr.'s older half-brother, Chris Scarfo, would distance himself from his family and would take the surname of his wife to start a whole new life without facing the negative scrutiny of his family. November 19, 1988. A few weeks later, after Mark Scarfo's tragedy, Nicky Scarfo Sr. was convicted on more than 32 counts of racketeering, which included 8 counts of murder, 4 counts of attempted murder, 2 counts of illegal distribution of methamphetamine, 1 count of loan sharking, 14 counts of extortion, and 1 count of illegal gambling. Nicky Scarfo Jr.'s father's conviction severely undermined Nicky Scarfo Jr. His father's conviction severely undermined Nicky Scarfo Jr.'s position in the Philadelphia crime family, as many family members were angry at the elder Scarfo's alleged mismanagement of organized crime enterprise and his arrogance. Some reporters believe Nicky Scarfo Jr. may have attempted to use his father's conviction as a means of rising within the syndicate. In October 1989, Scarfo Jr. bodyguard George Fresalone turned state evidence and began wearing a wire. Fresalone taped Scarfo Jr. plotting the death of his cousin, Philip Leonetti, an act which have allowed him to rise within the Philadelphia crime organization. My father says, the one is definitely my responsibility. He can't rest. I told him, I said, I ain't rest until this effing thing is done. How can I rest? How could I sleep at night? It's always eating at me. The evidence was later used to help indict Scarfo Jr. on racketeering and conspiracy charge in 1990. Assassination attempt, Halloween Day, October 31st, 1989, the day before of the 1-year anniversary of Mark Scarfo's tragedy, should also mark another unfortunate event for Nicky Scarfo Jr. This time it would affect his own life. On the evening on October 31st, 1989, Nicky Scarfo Jr. was dining in an Italian restaurant in Philadelphia when a man wearing a mask, some will say it was a Batman mask or a ski mask, and the man was holding a plastic candy bag, entered the restaurant of Dante and Luigi's restaurant. He approached Scarfo's table. The man then pulled a MAC-10 machine pistol from the bag and fired at Scarfo. Scarfo was struck 8 times in the neck, arms, and torso, but no vital organs were hit. And as you will see in this image, we'll show you the display of all the parts where Nicky Scarfo was hit and read to him as we go along. As you see in the image of Scarfo's wounds, the 9 bullet wounds suffered by Nicky Scarfo Jr., whether they are entrance or exit wounds, will be as noted. An entrance wound below his right ear, an apparent exit wound on the midline of his neck, just below the hairline. Right shoulder, below his breastbone, an exit wound. A grazing wound across the tip of his chin. Upper left chest. 3 bullet wounds in his upper left arm. 2 bullets are still lodged there, and one of them shattered the humerus, the long bone. And the source that came from the Thomas Jefferson University Hospital, depicting Scarfo's injuries and wounds, and this was graphed by Rob King from the Courier Post. As Scarfo was shot several times, as we showed you in the display, Scarfo returned home just 9 days later. Here are some news coverage reporting on the fiasco.
We interrupt our regular programming to bring you this special report from the Channel 6 Action Newsroom.
Hello, I'm Jim Gardner. Nicky Scarfo Jr., the son of the imprisoned crime boss of Philadelphia, was shot this evening in a South Philadelphia restaurant. Police say a man wearing a yellow mask walked into Dante and Luigi's restaurant between Catherine and Fitzwater on 10th. About 8:15, and opened fire with an automatic weapon. Scarfo was hit 3 times, twice in the chest, once in the neck. He is in critical condition at Jefferson. We'll have a complete report at 11 tonight.
The doctors don't want to give you a guarantee about his condition, but I feel good after talking to the doctor that's in charge of the case now.
No major arteries or veins were injured. We did arteriograms, with x-rays of the blood vessels, and the bullets were in proximity to several large blood vessels, but none of them were injured. So there was no major blood loss.
But did have some pain and discomfort.
Does he realize how close he came to dying? I mean, in the sense that a fraction of an inch could have made...
Well, I don't think that he thinks of it in terms of fractions of an inch, but he does realize that somebody was there to kill him, and that it was very close that he wasn't killed. I would say he was kind of lucky.
He's in fair condition. He's very stable.
Nicky Scarfo Jr. is very lucky to be alive. Doctors here at Jefferson Hospital don't know exactly how many 9mm bullets ripped through his body last night, but he has at least 9 bullet wounds, including 1 below his right ear, 1 in his neck, his chin, and 2 in his chest. Yet remarkably today, he is...
He's talking. He's going to get some clear liquids for lunch, and he's doing very, very well.
Nicky Scarfo Jr. is progressing. The police say the probe into his shooting has been hampered by the fact that Scarfo will not cooperate.
Yes, we had talked with him.
What has he been able to tell you?
Well, he too referred us to his attorneys.
Attorney Robert Simone said police first tried to question Scarfo as he was lying in a pool of blood. But Simone concedes, even as Scarfo recovers, cooperation is doubtful.
History tells us that he's not going to talk.
Simone said he was able to contact Scarfo's father, mob boss Nicky Scarfo, today to tell him his son's condition was improving. The elder Scarfo is in federal prison in Illinois. Police have little to go on. They are trying to trace his machine pistol, which was found about 100 feet from the South Philadelphia restaurant where Scarfo Jr. was gunned down. All they know about the triggerman is that he is about 5'9", thin, wore a mask, and said nothing. But while facts are scarce, theories for the shooting abound. One school of thought, the hit was ordered by members of the Gambino mob family of New York, which is now headed by this man, John Gotti. The theory is the New Yorkers are enraged that Scarfo Jr.'s cousin, Mob Lieutenant Phil Leonetti, has reportedly become a government informant and will testify against Gotti. Last night's hit has been termed a payback. The homegrown theory is that Scarfo Jr., playing the surrogate for his imprisoned father, had angered locals with an emerging arrogant style. As for those theories, police will...
Okay, we have no information on that whatsoever.
And as for the future, is last night's attack the start of something?
I thought it all did come to an end a couple of years ago, but evidently I'm wrong again.
John Rollins, Channel 6, Action News.
The Scarfo family in happier times, celebrating the acquittal of Scarfo Sr. and his associates in the South Testa murder back in May of last year. For the family, now an obscure, faded memory. While there is relief among family members tonight that Nicky Jr. will likely pull through, his shooting is but the latest in harsh blows they have suffered. Ironically, only today, Nicky Jr.'s younger brother Mark was to go home from a New Jersey medical facility where he remains in a coma after last year's suicide attempt. Meantime, sources close to the investigation believe last night's incident was a botched assassination attempt on the life of Nicky Jr. The Mac 11 semi-automatic used in the shooting, unlike some weapons, was designed for precise target hits.
The type of weapon that was used will produce a lot of penetration, but not a lot of widespread tissue damage.
Investigators believe the perpetrators were supposed to finish what's left of the Scarfo mob family.
They're decimated here in Philadelphia because most of them are behind bars. Some of them will never get out from behind bars, including Scarfo Sr. and the 7 people that we convicted.
Investigators' worst fear tonight is that New York's Gambino mob family, headed by John Gotti, which has been moving aggressively into Atlantic City real estate, is now trying to move into Philadelphia.
It's possible that Philadelphia may be trying to be eliminated in the New York, Atlantic City, Philadelphia triangle.
But whoever ultimately is behind attempting to eliminate Junior and thus put the last nail in the Scarfo mob family coffin, investigators are pretty convinced of one thing. It's likely to get a lot bloodier before it's all over. I'm Dan Cuellar, Channel 6 Action News, South Philadelphia.
On October 31st, 2009, on the 20th anniversary of Nicky Scarfo Jr.'s shooting, George Anastasia and Dave Stratweiser covered the story and are convinced that the shooter was paying homage to the classic book and movie Mario Puzo's Godfather, in which the character Michael Corleone, played by young actor Al Pacino, shoots his enemies in the restaurant and drops the untraceable gun in the restaurant and quickly leaves the scene, as you can see here. We are skipping some of the violent scenes to prevent any type of red flagging in this video.
Bandito sta meglio. Il cane ti fa un giun e mettiamo tutto a posto. Steve sta lì, si deve finire.
While many fans of The Godfather believe the art imitated life, the Nicky Scarfo shooting seems that life was imitating art. The shooter left the untraceable gun at the scene of the crime, as many people witnessed the violent shooting that occurred. Theories for the hit took several forms. Initially, law enforcement officials believe that the hit has been ordered by one of the 5 families in New York City in an attempt to take over the Philadelphia's organized crime operations. However, police later said that the suspected Joey Merlino of being the gunman when Nicky Scarfo Jr. was seen as a proxy for his father. The message being that the elder Scarfo was no longer in control of the Philadelphia crime family. Merlino had steadfastly denied any involvement. However, Tommy Scafidi would testify in 2001 that Merlino was the gunman and that Merlino's second-in-command, Michael Ciancaglini, drove the getaway car. Scafidi said that he was asked to participate in the hit, but he refused. This was confirmed by the testimony from the former Philadelphia crime family boss Ralph Natale, who also turned in state evidence and said that Merlino told him about committing the crime while they served time together in 1990. To be fair to Joey Merlino, no one was never arrested when it came to the Nicky Scarfo Jr.'s assassination attempt. He was never arrested nor has been convicted for any criminal charges associated with the crime. He's just always been associated with the murder due to news reports and informants making this accusation. At least one of the mobsters testifying on behalf of the government alleged that the soldier Peter Pete the Crumb Caprio also knew of the hit and attempted to prevent it. Authorities also suspected that Charles Chaz Iannici of the attempted murder because he delivered a controversial kiss on the cheek to Scarfo shortly before the gunman attacked. Nicky Scarfo Jr. became an unimportant player in the Philadelphia mob after the hit. He adopted a very low profile to avoid drawing attention to himself, most likely, police assume, because he had few allies who would protect him. Scarfo moved to Newark, New Jersey shortly afterwards. George Freselone was appointed as Scarfo's bodyguard, but Freselone became an informant and recorded hundreds of hours of conversation with mobsters, including Scarfo. Law enforcement officials allege that Scarfo Sr. arranged to have his son inducted to the Lucchese crime family. New Jersey faction to protect him from further attempts on his life. According to a 2007 court affidavit filed by New Jersey State Organized Crime Control Bureau, Scarfo Jr. was later made and elevated to the position of a soldier with the Lucchese crime family, effectively protecting him from any additional murder attempts. As of today, both Nicky Scarfo Jr. and Joseph Merlino are both alive at this time of this recording. Joseph Merlino is now residing in Florida and started his own podcast. You can follow Joseph Merlino and his partner Little Snuff on the popular sports betting podcast titled The Skinny with Joey Merlino. You can also subscribe to the channel on YouTube, Spotify, and other platforms to hear from his own perspective. You will hear him address false rumors, recent controversial moments, for example, his picture taken with President Donald Trump, and more. Also, as of today, many crime family members are no longer here with us. Michael Cingolini died on August 5, 1993, in his friend's arms, Joey Merlino, after the violent shootout that came from John Stanfa's Philadelphia crime faction. George Freslow died on March 13, 2002. Ralph Natale died on January 22, 2022. As for Nicky Scarfo Jr., as we mentioned before, who is still currently alive, he is currently incarcerated at Fairton FCI in Fairfield Township, New Jersey, with the projected release date of December 2037. This concludes our story on the assassination attempt of Nicky Scarfo Jr., son of the Philadelphia crime family boss, Little Nicky Scarfo Sr. Thank you for watching our video. We hope you enjoy more future projects.
Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel and check out more of our content. Feel free to give your feedback and suggestions on what we should do next in the comments. This is Infinite Lee Productions. We love ya.